Good morning, Cement Shoes. Tammy, good morning. And Zelda, I will definitely pray for you. I hope that there's a good outcome and that your health recovers. Howdy, guys and dolls. Good morning, Tammy. I hope you and Cement Shoes had a wonderful week. We'll wait for some more people to join us, and then we're going to get this party started, huh? Carol, Francie, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Got a couple cases one case update, one case that I want to cover this morning. This stream is not going to go as long as some of the others. I'm going to kind of narrow them down in total length of time because of just because of the sheer amount of when people drop off, at how long they are watching. Apparently, a lot of people don't enjoy the length of it. I know some people do, and I appreciate that, but a lot more people don't. Good morning, Purple. Hi. Been entertained by Depp versus Heard all week. I haven't watched any clips this week. I did watch the video on Legal Eagle, where he broke down the suit against Johnny Depp took out against the Sun in the UK and the defamation claim in Great Britain, that he had filed against Heard there and the case there versus how it's different here. I did watch that. So if you want to check out Legal Eagle, that's the YouTube channel name. He did a pretty good breakdown of it. That's the only thing I've watched about either the Heard or Depp case this week. You like the longer streams? I think it's there's a balance that I'm trying to find there, Cement Shoes. It's more than instead of, well, I'm just going to cut it off here because that's what people are watching to. I'm trying to find a balance of what length of time people enjoy watching, and when they're like, okay, if I know it's only going to be an hour, I'll I can tune in for that, as opposed to, well, you never know how long it's going to go. Got a straight hair on my face here. Where'd it go? I mean, it fell off. There it is. That's annoying as heck. Amy, good morning. Amber Heard is a psychopath. Trending yesterday on Twitter. I'm not surprised by that at all. I don't think either one of them have been doing themselves any justice. Have you heard the song Objection Hearsay song? I saw that the was it Depp's attorney who objected to his own question, or was it Tammy's Tammy Heard's attorney who objected to his own question of Johnny Depp. I can't remember. Objecting to your own question, it's a little bizarre. They're saying she sniffed the no snow on the stand. Really? She did a bump on the stand, huh? Wow. And we can say the word cement shoes. It's cocaine. 90% of these streams are not monetized anyways, or if they are monetized, they get limited ads, which is in 30 days I might make 30 cents, 45 cents from them. So they don't pay. I do them more for my enjoyment than anything else, and hopefully for the enjoyment of the viewer. I'm disgusted with Warner Brothers for keeping her in Aquaman 2. Yeah, and at the same time, even in light of all the information that was out there, they kept her in Aquaman, but Disney fired Depp from Pirates of the Caribbean and from doing any more, but also from was it Beast or something, Mythical Beast or Beautiful Beast or whatever the heck the series is. I don't watch a lot of movies. It was Turd's Lawyer. Okay. Thank you, Amy. Turds. Good morning, Mel. Deborah Wallace. Good morning. My son had a TBI when he was 9. He made a remarkable recovery. Traumatic brain injury. I am a traumatic brain injury survivor. I think I've done pretty well myself. You can't see it, but I got a big ass scar that goes up like right through here on the side of my head. It's ridiculous to cancel him for no evidence, innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, but Disney is a lot more fickle when it comes to who they have in their movies. And then Warner Brothers or other companies. Will, you missed Deborah's comment. I will scroll up. Please pray for my 12-year-old niece, Julia. She was hit by a car more than a week ago, and on her way to school, she has serious traumatic brain injury and has been in a coma since with no improvement. I will definitely pray for your niece, Deborah. I'll write it down so that way I don't forget when we go to church on Sunday to make sure that it gets put into our prayer circle. Wallace. And while I'm at it, Zelda. I meant a wave emoji. Hello, Short Nice. Hello. Blessed be Bill. Thank you, Tammy. All right, let's get this party started, ladies and gentlemen. Get myself in my little window down here. There we go. Hi. All right. First, this is a new case that I'm following, and this is out of Century, Colorado. Century County, Pennsylvania. Is the first case. This is a new case that I don't know if a lot of people are aware of, but I'm definitely following it. And after I'm going to bring it up on the screen, and then I'm going to tell you why it. Besides the shocking facts of it, why I'm following it. Meth and bleach for you and for you out of Century County, Pennsylvania. And that is the lady at the head of the story. in case the live and the is covering it up, it says Century County, Pennsylvania. Police have charged a Belfont woman with uh, and accused her of giving methamphetamines to children and bathing them in bleach as a result of her drug-induced paranoia. Bellefonte Borough police say Tara Allman, 33, faces multiple misdemeanor charges, misdemeanors, not felonies, which is just blows me away. Counts for corruption of minors and child endangerment, according to online court documents. Police say in early April they received a CYS, which is Children and Youth Services report, alleging that Allman was smoking and providing methamphetamine to children. Investigators say they spoke with the eldest of the four children in Allman's care, who told police that she was failing school because she often had to stay home to take care of the other younger children, as Allman was always sleeping. Police say that the child also admitted that Allman often gave methamphetamines to the children. Police say further investigation revealed Allman had, on one occasion, bathed two of the children in bleach and sprayed them with alcohol, as according to the eldest child. She believed that there were bugs coming out of them. Authorities noted that bathing the children in bleach was not, I repeat, not an isolated incident, and that it had occurred more than once. Police say the eldest child also noted other safety concerns, including Allman falling asleep while driving the vehicle. Yes, there are four children who are under the age of 12 in the care of this lady. Allman was arraigned Tuesday afternoon in Century County Corrections Facility on $5,000 bail, court documents show. Her preliminary hearing is scheduled for May 11th. Ladies and gentlemen, Tara Allman. This lady has been a longtime abuser of methamphetamines. She has had several run ins with the law for neglect of the children. The CYS has been investigating her for almost 3 years at this point. Again, four children under the age of 12 are in her care. On multiple occasions, when the CYS had stopped into the home to make reports to do follow ups, visits with her, they found insufficient food in the home to feed the four children. No food. She was spending all of her money on meth. According to another report that was released by, articles released by Fox News Channel 5. I don't know where they're actually located at, but Fox News Channel 5, that they reported that on not they in this report that said several times she had gave methamphetamines to the children. The two oldest children had been seen and reported by neighbors and family members as going through withdrawals from methamphetamine. The two eldest of the four were showing signs of withdrawal from methamphetamines. And yet, nobody took these children away from her. If the police knew about it, child services knew about it, neighbors knew about it, the family knew about it, why did nobody take these children away? Do you imagine what that does to the mind and the body of a young child to be forced, and I put that very clearly, forced to smoke methamphetamines? Why am I following this case besides that? This lady's former baby daddy is a member of a group of, well, I'm trying to think of the nicest way to put this so people don't get upset. He is an extremist with beliefs in wanting to overthrow the US government. And the group that he belongs to were part of the insurrection at the Capitol. He wasn't there, obviously, because he spends most of his money on meth as well. There's a surprise. But he is someone that I've been following in another case. But he, when this came across my desk, I was like, oh my effing god! I already had her on my radar of people to watch that were connected to that individual. I do not know if he is the father of all four or if he's the father of only one or two, but he has been in and out of that home with those four children. So that's yet another person who watched her, either bathe the children in bleach, spray them with alcohol, or give them meth, or knew of it if he didn't watch that. And yet, no one stopped her. Where in the world is society going if we allow people to act this way and do these things? I mean, it's one thing to have extremist beliefs like he does, but to do that to a child, any child, one child, four children, I mean, it blows me away. I can't wrap my head around things like that. Why people would do anything to hurt a child. I'll never understand it, and I really hope that with the grace of God, that I never do become jaded to the point where after reporting on these things for so many years that it becomes normal to me, and I don't feel the shock and awe, and I don't feel the severe disappointment, in people, for doing these things. But this isn't an isolated case. That, by doing just a little bit more research, I found more than 25 other cases that are similar to this that have happened across the United States in the last 5 years, where children were forced to either bathe in bleach, were given bleach to drink because they thought that it would cure them or stop them from getting corona. I mean, I got in trouble and booted, and I got put in Facebook jail for reporting a guy who was feeding hydrogen peroxide and bleach to his children. And I was the one that got put into Facebook jail for, reporting him. He reported me for stalking and bullying him because he said it was his constitutional right. I know, right? To, how he raised his children. Is it her constitutional right to force the two eldest children to smoke methamphetamines? No. No, it's not. Is it her constitutional right to force the children to bathe in bleach because she thinks that bugs are crawling out of their skin, or to spray them with alcohol because of this? No, it's not. And yet, I know that people are going to disagree with me, as shocking as that is. So get your hateful little fingers out and start typing away right now, because I know people are going to hate me for it. Next case. Update on Vicky White and Casey White. New information has come out about both of them, and a little bit more background on Vicky. And it makes you wonder if Vicky White, this is the case of the missing corrections officer who helped Casey White, not related, but they were having a romantic relationship, where she helped him break out of the jail there, and they've been on the run now for 8 days. But the question has to be asked: how much of an innocent bystander is she versus the is she the um, is she culpable in the actual crime itself? Before the escape, Vicky White had been seen purchasing all of the following items at stores. She went to Kohl's department store and purchased men's clothing that would fit Casey White. So obviously, the escape plan had been in motion for some time before they actually, put it into motion and broke him out of the actual, jail there. She was seen also purchasing items from an Army Navy surplus store. They do not know what items she purchased there, but she was seen definitely on surveillance video from the outside of the store in a strip mall there, going into an Army surplus Navy store. What she bought, and it was in the bag when she came back out, we don't know. They're not releasing any footage from inside the store or talking about what she may have purchased from the actual store perspective. She was also seen going to an adult bookstore where she purchased several wigs and other items, most likely, probably, I don't know, you can guess for what she might have been purchasing there. She was also seen going to an Ace Hardware store where she purchased, items. Again, they're not releasing the video surveillance or receipts of what she actually purchased in any of these locations, but she did go to an Ace Hardware store and was seen leaving with a small bag. The other items that she went to was a hunting fishing tackle store that is next to it's a standalone building. It's not in a strip mall, but she was seen going into the store. There is no surveillance footage that has been released of her actually leaving the store, but obviously she did leave the store at some point because she helped him break out of jail. And again, these are all allegedly purchased. She purchased items at them. They're not actually saying what she purchased. Otherwise, she shoplifted at all of them. That's the only other option. Excuse me. Items that were stolen from the squad car that she used when they switched over to the Ford Edge vehicle, which they have now recovered in the middle of the state of Tennessee. Items that were stolen from the squad car: the service shotgun, ammo for the shotgun, lethal and less lethal rounds, which would be bag bean rounds and other items. So she stole all of the ammo, lethal and less lethal. Body armor vest that was in the trunk of the car. Roadside first aid kit, which was in the trunk of the car. Not one, but two radios. The one that would have been in the car plus the one that she would have had on her actual body itself. So she had two radios. A police windbreaker. It's a black windbreaker with white lettering on the back that says police, and underneath it says Lauderdale underneath it. That was in the trunk of the car. So sheriff or police, whichever law enforcement agency it was, but you get the point. Surplus tactical gear, which is backup, clothing and other items that are kept in the trunk in a plastic bag. So in case they get called out on a SWAT or whatever the vehicle may be used for, they always have an extra shirt or an extra pants for the person who was assigned to that vehicle. So in case they need, they get a rip or something in their uniform, they have a backup to put on. But that all of that surplus tactical gear was stolen from the trunk of the car as well. Two emergency blankets. I didn't put two in there, but emergency blankets. These are the ones that you will probably have in the trunk of your car. You should, especially if you're driving in the wintertime. But they're like the fold out plastic reflective blankets that you can use in an emergency situation to cover up with. And the reason why the sidearm ammo, all of them have different asterisks next to them, is because they do not know what type of surplus ammo would be in the trunk of the car for the revolver. If the car was used by multiple people or assigned to multiple different people, it may have had different ammunition. So her sidearm was a Glock 9 mil, but there could have been 45 and 38 millimeter ammo in there for anybody else that was assigned to that vehicle. Some of this stuff stays in the vehicle from person who is assigned to it, and other ones are they have accident recreation kits and report booklets and stuff like that. But a lot of that stuff she left behind. But these are the items they know that were stolen from the actual vehicle itself. More about Vicky. According to all of this is according to people who worked, former employees who worked with her, and people who still worked with her up to the date of her actual, helping him escape. They said that she was the assistant director of corrections department. According to one individual, she volunteered 1 to 2 times a month to fill in positions because of there were gaps between not having someone there as a jailer. So 1 to 2 times a month she would volunteer to fill in as a corrections officer, but most of her time she spent in the actual office itself as the assistant director of the corrections department. She was trained with the fugitive task force in the past, and not just for that county. She trained with local police, state, and federal law enforcement in fugitive recovery. She went to actual school in classes to be versed in this area on fugitive recovery. They said that she is extremely calculated, that everything that she does, according to people who worked with her, former employees and current employees, that she is a very calculated individual. She does nothing on the spur of the moment. Everything is always well thought out in advance. So the odds of them tripping them up because of the car being ditched and it being broken down, it may just be a ruse that they planted all along. They might have parked that car and went the opposite direction and had plans all along to throw off law enforcement, ditch the car in Tennessee, and then drive back the opposite direction we just came. Because the car was only found 2 hours away from where the actual escape happened. Very frugal spender is the next one on the list. They said that she was not somebody who ate out or spent money on entertainment or luxury items. The home that she sold was valued at $235,000, and she sold it for $95,500. Not even 50% of its market value. And she sold it and got it almost all of it in cash. She took back out of the bank. So she's traveling with close to 90,000 in cash. She has never had any credit cards and deals almost strictly in just cash. She does have probably a debit card from the bank that she did bank with there, but she has always been, according to people who work with her and former employees, she almost always, whenever they dealt and with each other outside of work in a social situation, Vicky almost always used cash. They never saw her pay for anything with a debit card. So she, well, again, somebody who knows about fugitive recovery, she would know that that would leave a fingerprint, a breadcrumb, if you will, on how they could get caught, and be tracked down. So they're dealing cash, so they're kind of off the grid, if you will. All right, next one. Had months to plan out the escape and may have studied past cases. They they're at the Lauderdale Sheriff's Department. She had access to files on past escape plans where they had been caught, and how other inmates had been actually caught. Now it should be noted that Casey himself had tried to escape once before, but we'll get to that in just a minute. was a hunter with her now deceased husband, ex-husband. Um, he she moved him back into the home because he had Parkinson's, pretty bad, and he eventually died from Parkinson's. And then she sold the home and moved next door into the home of his mother, where she resided until the day of the actual escape. And so she had months to plan all this out. And again, they said that she was extremely calculated and she didn't do anything on the spur of the moment. Was a member of several online groups that chatted about fugitive recovery. This is not law enforcement groups. These are open groups that are on social media where people had talked about how people had gotten away, and and particularly that she was interested in Whitey Ford, the the individual who was a mobster who got away for several years on on how he escaped captivity and lived right out in the open for pretty much with along with his significant other. But they said that she was particularly interested in how Whitey Ford got away with it for so long. It definitely paints a different picture of, was she just fooled into this and she did this on the spur of the moment because of love, or is she just as culpable in this as Casey White is? Next one, more about Casey White. This is the criminal himself. Made at least one try to escape in the past, where he was actually caught with a homemade shank, which is a weapon. It's a handheld weapon to stab somebody with or slash with. Um, People in jail make them out of everything from spoon handles to melted down and crushed ink pins, anything that you can use and then file down by rubbing it on the floor to make a sharp impact weapon. And then they wrap a other cloth or plastic bags to make an actual handle on it. And some make them out of pieces of metal if they can get them. There is several YouTube videos you can watch where they show how people actually make them out of Jolly Rancher candies as well, shanks. All right, he is a member of a known racist, two known racist groups with a wish to overthrow the government. The Southern Brotherhood is the main group that he is a member of, and he's also a member of another group or affiliations with another group called the White County, which is loosely tied to a three percenter group out of, they're in several states, but they're mainly in the state of Arkansas and Alabama. But he does have connections with both of them through associates and directly. He has friends and associates in North Carolina, West Virginia, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, and Ohio. That's through the different factions of the and associates that were these racist groups and survivalist groups. He's been violent towards women since 2014. Now, he probably was violent towards women before then, but that was his first real, foray with the police department where they became very aware of him was in 2014 when he was arrested then and then convicted in 2015. They said that he is also unstable when he is doing meth and heroin. You might be able to find the video online with when he was arrested and then eventually convicted and sentenced to 75 years. That they ran him off the road using a pit maneuver into a field, and he held two guns to his head and said he was going to kill himself. And when they yelled back to him that nobody has to die tonight, he said repeatedly, "I'm not going back to jail. You're going to have to kill me." And that's been something that's there at the bottom, in the next, not the next one, but the last one. He may have mental health issues on top of it that are not connected to his drug use. According to another inmate who had bonded out of the same jail, He said that Casey had said or mentioned while he was there that Casey had said he had heard voices, or there was something stronger moving him to be able to do things, like an extra power or something that was giving him information. So don't want to say that it was schizophrenia, that he was hearing voices that way. Maybe he was just, bullshitting everybody, and that, and so it kind of fit into why he would be moved to have a mental health evaluation. Is known to have guns in and around southern states, or ones that he can quickly get if needed, through the different associates in these groups. He does have connections to people who have guns, and he can get a hold of them. Now we know the likelihood is at this point she's got her service revolver. She has a shotgun with ammunition. He may have gotten his hands on an AK-47, and if he has, and which is his prime weapon that he likes to use. He's not much of a handgun user, although he has used them in several attacks in the past, or instances in the past. But they could have any other weapon that she may have had from her days with her ex-husband, hunting rifles or whatever. Did she buy anything additionally and then wait for the waiver period to, and then pick it up from the hunting store? We don't know at this point, but we know that they definitely are armed and dangerous at this point. And I think that's the last one. Yes, it is. That is the last slide. And I'm sorry if I missed a lot of you in the chat while I was going through all that. But don't forget to give this a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, or give it a thumbs down. I'm good either way. I need the interaction. Leave a comment. Under the video. Tell me how much of a douchebag I am. I get it all the time. But either way, that's the update on Vicky and Casey White at this point. Now, I want to quickly, before I forget, I want to welcome the new subscribers. There are only 3 this week. Anita Elwell, Linda Adams, and BBC Music Engineer. Welcome to my channel 411 now. And the new channel member, Tammy, I think it's Kohan, or Kuhan. I'm not sure how to pronounce the last name, and I'm really sorry about that, Tammy. But welcome all the same to the channel membership. Allison, you like the longer streams as well? Well, thank you. Good morning, Reichart. Are we watching a pre-recorded premiere live? No, I'm here, sir. I'm here. Sorry. I'll scroll up. I'm sure I missed a lot of that. Pippadot, good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. You don't think that they'll hide for very long? I don't know. It all depends. I mean, again, they have at least a 4 to 5 day head start on law enforcement, and they could be really anywhere. Dumping the car in Tennessee, it could be just something to throw it off. Now that car sat there. It was picked up and towed to a tow yard, and it sat in that tow yard for a week until the people there realized, oh no, that car is wanted, or is connected to this case. And just lucky that it happened to happen that way. Otherwise, that car could have sat there for months beforehand. Anybody would have noticed. Some of these car lots, especially in bigger communities, they get hundreds and hundreds of cars in. They don't have time to keep track of every car. But in this case, we got lucky that it was towed to a small yard, and that they only had about a dozen cars that they had there in the impound lot, in the tow yard. the tattoos will stick out. You can't cover them. You can't cover the tattoos, but there has been the sheriff or undersheriff, I can't remember which one it was, that was part of the press announcement the other day, said that Casey may be wearing a dress and a wig to disguise that it's a female, and to and be in a wheelchair with a blanket over the lap, so therefore it looks like a woman, an elderly woman in a wheelchair. Now, if it's a full length dress and they got a shawl around them or a blanket and they're in a wheelchair, you wouldn't see the tattoos. You just cover up the around the head with the blanket, and you got a fake wig on, and you're wrapped up. It wouldn't, and they're going to obviously limit their exposure to cameras and to people in that area. Now, I did see one report where somebody who was a former corrections officer said that the photo that we've been shown here on the news, the one of Vicky, is from 2010, when they took all the photos of each and every one of those officers. He believes that was photos from 2010. If it is, that photo would be 12 years old, and he said that she's aged a lot since then, especially because she loves to tan, and that would age her skin more. And he said if you put old lady clothing on her in a gray wig, she could walk right past you and you wouldn't even know it. That he highly doubts that she's dyed her hair brown or black and is looking exactly the way she was when she left. That she could have chopped it all off to really short and be wearing a wig. Perhaps a motorized wheelchair, that's another option. But that'd be harder to lug around and move. They're gonna, wherever they are, they're gonna want to again limit their exposure to the population. If they're gonna check into a motel or anything else, they're gonna want to do it towards the later part of the day, when there's less people to see them, to spot them, and to alert authorities. Hey, Will Hunt. Gianna Marie, good morning. Welcome. Janice, good morning. Her 95K from the sale of the house won't last long. No, not she won't, Janice. Especially the way she, they've got to be burning through it pretty quick. So they've got to get somewhere. Now, here's something else to consider. If he really does have these connections to these other groups, I mean, we know he's connected to at least 3 or 4 different groups. He could get to the mountains someplace where these people have a stronghold, where they obviously don't trust law enforcement the way it is, so they already limit people who can get there. I think of it kind of like Ruby Ridge, and how he limited how people came to their actual property. It wasn't something that the hunter would just stumble upon, in the Ozarks or wherever, or the Smoky Mountains or wherever they might go. Heck, they could be sitting, in New York City right now. How many people would they stick out in a crowd in New York City? Would they stick out in Boston? Where large areas like that, they may eventually, but they're not. As long as you limit your area, and you have people who can bring things to you, food and whatever you might need, then they could hold up for quite a while. And again, let's not forget that Whitey Bulger went from the mob all the way to Arizona, where they eventually caught him, I think it was, or Vegas, someplace like that, someplace out west. But he disappeared off the radar for the longest time. But he was hiding right in plain sight. People just weren't, like, hey, I think I know that person. I'm going to report that to the authorities. And sometimes that's the best, disguise, is to hide right in plain sight, because people are going to look right past you. Well, I didn't see that person, so they don't call the tip in. But again, they want it. the people that I've been talking to in researching this case, they wanted me to stress again, like in every video that where I cover, Casey White and Vicky White. If you do see them, do not address them. Do not confront them. They are armed and dangerous criminals, and they will fight and they will kill to survive. So you stumble upon them, just do not address them. Just walk away and call the authorities. That's to call 911. And law enforcement said that they've gotten tips from all over the East Coast to out west, out to the Northwest, the Seattle area. They've gotten tips on them. And they're following up every tip right now. Um, they have not made the number one list, for America's most wanted criminals. They're not going to meet that list, but they are the U.S. Marshals are definitely hunting for them. And when you get the U.S. Marshals on your behind, they're going to catch you eventually. It's just a matter of time. They're just looking for that one slip up somewhere along the line. But the car that she purchased, the Ford Edge, was purchased underneath a false name. She had never any intentions of registering that car in her name. It was all just a dump vehicle. Lots of people in Mexico would want that reward money, so that they are not safe there either. No, that's true. I don't think large manly lady is an oddity at right now. They kill her already because they'd be searching for a pair. I have a video that is coming out right after this stream where I'm going to address that cement shoes. If he would do something like that. So stick tuned to my channel after this stream, and I will definitely answer that question. Shirley only wants her money. And that's true. The money is going to be the number one factor, and how long can they survive on that money? Long term. You eventually have to run out of money, and you have to make more money somehow. The good old days, of the 1910s of disappearing from Alcatraz, or someplace, and then resettling in the Midwest as a farmer, or someone selling newspapers on the street in San Francisco. Those days are gone. But people do disappear every year, and especially in America. I mean, I think it was close to 79,000 people just walk away from their lives per year on average, that they know just walked away and decided, you know what, I don't want to be, Will Finley anymore, and I want to be, Bob Smith, and I don't want any of this. They just walk away and, to move to another state and pick up the name Bob Smith and become a welder, or, a hermit or something, live off the grid, live in the mountains someplace. People do it all the time. The people move within their own cities sometimes, and they just say, you know what, I don't want any of this anymore. I'm just going to reinvent myself. So, that's why it's one of those things with fugitives. They're going the extra mile on top of somebody who just doesn't want to be found. I mean, John List disappeared for how long? And before they caught him, he just up and he killed his family and then moved. And it took a while to find him, and he didn't move that far away. She had access to things he couldn't get. Once he's got them, I see him keeping it all to himself. Oops, they dumped the red car, stolen another. Well, all stolen cars are posted online or news. Well, the car that the Ford Edge, Janice, is a car that she purchased underneath a false name, and it sat in the parking lot there. And they dumped the patrol car and stripped it of everything that was of value to them and put it into the Ford Edge. When they dumped the Ford Edge there in Tennessee, it had one radio in it It had a bunch of fast food containers in it and other miscellaneous garbage. But so, they obviously went through some place to get something to eat between, there and there, the 2 hour trip. And when it comes to the likelihood that they're traveling in an older Dodge pickup, a 1980s Dodge pickup, we don't know how that truck is associated with them. Is it a stolen vehicle? Is it someone who is an associate of Casey's or Vicky's that they're borrowing it from, where they have permission, or is it not, a complete herring, red herring in the entire story? But it's another vehicle that has been tied to them both. We don't know how it's tied to them. Did they steal it? Or did when they dumped the vehicle in Tennessee as a ruse that it had mechanical issues and they pushed it off into the sticks there along that road? Did they have, was that already prearranged to have somebody else meet them there to take them in another direction with another vehicle? Maybe two people came in two cars, and then those people got into one car, and then Vicky and Casey got in another car, and they went the opposite direction from them. We don't know. The tire tread pattern that was found in that area, they say comes back to 4 different vehicles, but they can't say how long those tracks have been there because they had rain in that Tennessee area where the car was dumped. And so how fresh are the tracks? How old are the tracks? They don't know at this point. So where they dumped it could be a ruse. It may not be. We don't know. So they could have carjacked someone. This is true, Amy. They very well could have. And that's another option in the entire list. I mean, the hell, they got a lot of firepower at their hands that we know of. Just a shotgun and the service, sidearm that she was, issued. But we don't know what else, that she may have had or what she may have purchased beforehand, or that whatever they've been able to get. Maybe they broke into a home or a hunting cabin along the way and got more provisions. I mean, that could have been. We don't know. Right, Francie? That and I was looking at the story about her ex-husband who had Parkinson's, and I'm wondering just how much that played into the entire thing. Was where she was dealing with the grief around him dying, and did that play into her? She's like, all everything that I've worked for, is means nothing now that I don't have this. And several people who were close, like the former mother-in-law, had made a statement to the ABC affiliate there that the divorce may have been more of a financial reason because of his medical issues. So it didn't bankrupt her than it was a divorce of, um, they didn't love each other anymore. It was more of a divorce of convenience to save her from the actual financial debt. But did all that play into it? And then at the same time, he was talking to her. Now they've known each other since, or at least the first time they would have met there at the actual jail was in 2020. So this all happened within the last 2 years, along with the death of her ex-husband. All of that plays out within the 2 year period. So, and when you're grieving, and you're not thinking right. I mean, I've lost a lot of people who've been close to me in my life, and I hate to have had to have make real hard decisions. It's hard enough just planning services for somebody who has died, let alone thinking long term. If and especially if somebody approaches you about a new relationship, or is there to console you, or to listen to you, who can sympathize with you. We don't know what was going on with her, in that aspect, or how she was able to be talked into it. In Kansas City, yeah, who knew, right? I'm in Tennessee, lots of wooded areas, lots of abandoned houses. Oh, man, they could be anywhere. It could be in Tennessee. Or that, again, if somebody asked me, and they have, and I just didn't answer the question, is do I think they dumped the car there as a ruse, and faked or made it look like there was mechanical issues with the car? I mean, because it looks like somebody tried to paint the car, but we don't know if that was vandalism that happened in the parking lot there where the car was parked. Because again, the car was parked there in that parking lot for several, at least an extended period of time. According to people who worked in the actual grocery store in the strip mall, they had all noticed this car with no tags on it, sitting there far away from the store, for an extended period of time. Was the car tagged there and or something along that lines, or somebody painted it, there, and they painted over, something that might, like a gang tag that was on the car, so it wouldn't stick out, so people wouldn't recognize. Oh, look, that car's got gang tags on it, or or something like that. Is that why there was that green paint on the back corner panel? Because it doesn't. If somebody was trying to change the color of the car, they're terrible at it. There's a lot easier ways to do it, and just about the same amount of time it would take to paint a car with spray paint. But do I think that car being dumped there is a ruse? I think there is more than one reason why they were headed in that direction towards Tennessee, because there are witnesses who could testify against Casey in the murder for hire plot that he confessed to, but then recanted the actual evidence, the confession, which he was. That's why he was there in the first place, brought from prison to the actual jail, because he was there for the preliminary hearings. That's why he was there. He was already sentenced to 75 years in prison for his crime spree that he went on. But again, to the car, do I think it was dumped there? I think it was dumped there on purpose, and I think they had another vehicle or somebody else arranged. They arranged with somebody to get another vehicle that was already in that area. So I don't think it was a ruse, as in, oh, look, we're going, north here on purpose. I think they dumped it there and switched cars so people wouldn't, be looking for that car anymore, because they figured they're quickly going to be able to track down that she had this car. Where does a Dodge truck fit in there? Again, it's just part of a preliminary, news release. So it may not be connected at all. It may be connected. That might be what they were using next, and then they, went on to another area and stole another car. Cars get stolen all the time, and in all across the United States and the world. And would you necessarily know if somebody stole a Camaro in one city and it dumped it in another? You'd think it was a joyriding teenager, if it's only a city or two cities away, and they find it abandoned alongside the road when it ran out of gas. I mean, I highly doubt that they're going to hitchhike anywhere, because that would just be like, hey, I saw a 6'9" man and a shorter 5'4" woman, hitchhiking along the road. That's going to stick out. In my opinion, she's guilty as he is. This was all very well thought out. Yes, to a large extent, it was very planned out, according to all the information that I've found so far, online. But we'll see, where it all goes from here. Did they actually plan this out? Was this something that the first, escape plan that he planned was like a dry run? Excuse me. That they then were going to put in motion. If so, after he was actually caught with a shank in that attempt to escape. After that, they would have had almost, another month and a half to plan out this escape. So her coworker said her walk is a waddling gait. Yes, but they said that she's very agile. She may walk a little bit different, kind of like this, but she gets around perfectly well, and she's able to stand on her feet for long periods of time. because she, again, 1 or 2 times a month she did, fill in for shifts there at the actual jail as a jailer. She didn't work as an assistant director all the time, and that was the only thing she did. She did volunteer to pick up shifts here and there. She didn't get paid any different. She got paid the same, regardless. So if she's still able to walk, um, that would, you think that might be a sign that would stick out. But I don't think that they're walking anywhere. I think that they're using transportation, and they will eventually, and I really do think they're going to eventually get to some place, kind of like a Ruby Ridge in the Smokies or the Ozarks or someplace in the mountains. I think they're going to get to there, and they're just going to settle down through connections that either she has or he has. I don't think it's in the state of Tennessee. If I had to guess, I would say that it's probably either in Alabama or Mississippi or West Virginia. I think that one of those is it's just there's a lot of back roads and homes and places where they can hide out for an extended period of time and just lay low. And if they can get somebody to bring them, supplies, they're just going to, it's going to be that much better. So we don't know. It all depends on how sympathetic, his connections are, or people are going to want to be to help them. Eric Rudolph, if in case you guys remember him and how long he was actually missing. Eric Rudolph, he got away for so long because he would break into places, homes, summer cabins, and alike. He'd break into unoccupied dwellings and steal all the provisions that he needed, and then go back into the mountains. They could be doing the same thing or plan to do the same thing. But we don't know what kind of provisions she bought before she actually got the escape, done. All depends, I guess. I mean, you can buy, in just a 5-gallon bucket, you can buy, a supply of, food to last 4 or 5 weeks, a month and a half, 2 months supply of food in just a 5-gallon bucket, for 2 people. You can get ones for families in a 5-gallon bucket, a month supply of food in a 5-gallon bucket. If she's really into and knows a lot about law enforcement and fugitive task force and how to catch people, she's going to know, from that experience that, what you need to do is you need to stay off the grid. You need to wait for it to cool down before you go anywhere. And then you very limitedly pick certain areas to go to. Now, what's also playing in their side, neither one of them, smokes. He does occasionally, but he's not a heavy smoker. She's not a smoker, so they don't need to go get tobacco all the time. They don't need, anything in particular. He obviously uses drugs and alcohol quite a bit. I don't know about her on her side of it, but they don't have that addiction thing that's going to keep them, wanting and having to, interact with society. And again, if they do, and if it's drugs or whatever it might be, he's going to do that on the clandestine. He's not going to show up, in the middle of the daylight, downtown in a car that says "escape convict" down the side, and say, and buy, methamphetamines or heroin. So, but you think even then he's going to, try to find ways to get it, from either an associate who's going to buy it for him or something along those lines. Some pantries, free food don't require ID or proof of income. Wow, I didn't know that. I've never been to one. I used to donate to one. The Second Harvest, when we grew too many tomatoes and stuff like that, I would donate to them. And every year I would plant either melons or something like that, on purpose and grow them and donate them to a Second Harvest. But we haven't done that in the last couple of years. I know COVID and all that shutdown. I didn't even grow a garden. My wife has been doing it. Let's say she's had some success and not so much. What if an inmate is a maximum security prison and then they are sent to a no security jail? It sounds to me as if the whole system planned the escape. Well, Reichart, this is going to probably be no surprise to you or to a lot of people out there, but the justice system is flawed and broken in a lot of ways. He should have been, when he was transported from the prison back to the jail for the preliminary hearing. He should have been listed as an inmate that was housed by himself in protective custody or somewhere along that lines. The worst thing that the actual sheriff did was give a tour of the place to a reporter from one of the local affiliates there, and you can walking through the jail. You can see broken windows, and and people who've spent time in this place. They're like, the security there is a joke. Why they allow anybody, and think that anybody's going to stay there is beyond me. And they've had escapes in the past from this from this jail and the old jail that was there before it. People just they just bum rushed the guards, and they were able to get out before. But yeah, it definitely makes you wonder, why would they not put him in more of a security, especially knowing who he is, and that he already had been sentenced to 75 years, and here he is confessed to an actual murder. Now, according to the DA, who knew Vicky very well, they believe that they have more than enough evidence, not just going by the recanted confession, but they have more than enough evidence besides that to convict him for the murder for hire plot. In Ridgway was her last name. No relation to Gary Ridgway, but her last name was Ridgway. How much time will she get when caught? It all depends, Short Nice. On the escape or aiding in the escape, she's looking at 15 years on just that is the maximum on just that. Then there's a whole litany of other charges that they could put against her. I mean, theft of county property, and anything else that she may have done on top of it as part of the actual escape. So might she claim he took her hostage and forced her somehow to assist? I She could make that claim, Francie, but now in light of the evidence that she planned a lot of this, went shopping, bought him clothes and everything else, how does a hostage, convince a jury of their peers that they were forced to do this when you're on the outside, they're on the inside, and then you went shopping in your off time and then bought all these other things in a tools and necessities that to aid in the actual escape. She can make that defense, or claim, but I don't think it would fly very well in the light of knowing what she had done beforehand. Now, why would she dedicate her life to law enforcement only to join the ranks of America's Most Wanted? That's a damn good question. And just like a slap in the face on top of it all, dedicate her life to law enforcement, be awarded several accommodations for her time there in the actual in law enforcement. But on top of that, then the slap in the face, the coup de grace, if you will, she turned in her retirement papers the day before she actually did this. You can kiss that pension goodbye. That retirement benefits, all of it. It's all gone. Why would you turn in your retirement paper? It's kind of like, I'm retiring, but before my benefits, lapse and I can't use them anymore, I'm going to go get, seek medical help. That's her cover story, part of the cover story, taking him for a mental health evaluation, and then she was going to go to to a doctor's appointment herself. So that's just kind of mind blowing in itself. Well, turn in your retirement papers. You ain't getting that pension, lady. I wonder what state they are going to get caught in. Any guesses? Louise, good morning. Louise, if I had to guess, I mean, I'm going to guess that they're going towards either the Ozarks or the Smoky Mountains. I think they know that he's got connections with certain groups that are in West Virginia and in Alabama. I think he have closer ties to with the Southern Brotherhood. If that connection is really as strong as it is, and it probably is, probably even stronger than I think it is, they're willing to hide him anywhere, because they don't believe in the government. They believe that the government is a tyrannical government, and that they're being suppressed by the government, and they want to overthrow the government. So they're not going to trust anybody from outside at all. Now, that does raise a question. Would they protect him and hide him and then allow Vicky, who is obviously law enforcement or former law enforcement at this point, would they allow her to stay? And they may, but they would watch her extraordinarily close, and anything at all where she, differentiated or questioned the authority or anything, her life would be in danger immediately from any, not just from Casey, but from any of these other people who are around them, if that they actually use that connection. So, how many marshals do you think are actually involved at this point? Allison, if I had to guess, just using the information that I know from from the Southern District, which is in Arkansas, the U.S. Marshal's Office in the Southern District, they have 60 officers, U.S. Marshals, who are based there. I would say of those U.S. Marshals, probably about a dozen are actually, part of this case right now, who are out in the field. Now, I can't say that it's exactly 12, or it could be 6, it could be 9, but I would, if I had to guess, though, of those officers who were stationed there, I would say that it's 12. That's my best guess. She has no family. No, no. She's got a couple of nieces and nephews, or people who are like associated that way, but no real family that's going to help her or protect her. I'm not even sure if they're 100% related. Kind of like some people have. You might call this person your aunt, but there's actually no real relationship, or this is your uncle Bob or whatever, and there's no real relationship, by marriage or by blood. I mean, I have two people that we call aunts that are not related to the family and have never been related to the family by blood or by marriage. But people have those, and so those nieces and nephews or whatever, they may be connected to her, and she may call them that and refer to them as that way. Or this is my aunt Vicky, in that case, and there's no real relationship there. Allison, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap everything up there. I hope that you enjoyed the way that I put together today's content. If you did, give it a thumbs up. I really would love to see some feedback on it. As opposed to the way that I normally put these streams together, I'm trying to make them better and more informative for you, the viewer. So again, give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know, how everything you thought went together. And you have a terrific day. Now remember, I have a video coming out right after this. It's about 5 to 10 minutes out from the time that it is right now. I already have it set to actually launch. It's already on YouTube. I don't have to upload it or do anything else. It's already set to launch on a timed pattern scheduled. So, but I have a new video that's coming up. It's a YouTube short. So it's less than a minute or less long. So just giving a little bit of an update and answer to Cement Shoe's actual question about will he actually harm Vicky in now, or has he, or whatever. So that answers Cement Shoe's actual question. That's why I did not answer it. I wasn't ignoring you. Everyone, have a great day and stay safe out there. And I will see you again soon.